Chapter 1381 Shui Yong got an Oscar nomination. She really wanted to explain, but she needed to know how to explain it. Needless to say, her words after that were more and more intimate. Lin Che thought that she had to be more cautious in the future. How did little kids remember all these? Was she that intimate with Gu Jingze usually? The people around were extremely envious. Who would have thought that they were on such good terms? Their children were so big already, but they were still so warm and passionate. Lin Che went back and lamented to Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze was still in Dubai. He had been there for a long time as he was still not done with work there. They chatted over a video call that night. Hearing Lin Che lament about her own children, Gu Jingze chuckled to himself. "I'm coming back on the day after," he suddenly said. Lin Che looked up in surprise. "Really? You're coming back?" "Yeah, I'm almost done." Lin Che was elated and planned to pick him up at the airport. Gu Jingze waited for Lin Che to fall asleep before he ended the call. Airport security was tighter because of Gu Jingze's arrival. Lin Che arrived and saw Gu Jingze emerge. He was accompanied by Chin Hao and several other employees. Upon seeing Lin Che, the rest instinctively turned away. Gu Jingze smiled as he walked towards her. Lin Che ran to him. She tugged Gu Jingze and said, "It took so long this time." Gu Jingze said, "Hopefully, that won't be the case anymore. Come on, there must be plenty of reporters outside." Probably not. I didn't see any when I got here. There will be once we get out." "Huh. They probably already know about my return and were rushing over here." Lin Che was annoyed. Now that their relationship was public, they had a lot more attention outside. Sure enough, as they stepped out, they saw many people outside. Reporters snapped pictures from afar but couldn't come closer because Gu Jingze had too many security guards. Lin Che held hands with Gu Jingze as they left quickly, but they couldn't seem to shake off all these people. Seeing the pair hold hands, the reporters quickly aimed their cameras at the couple. Someone bravely yelled, "Mr. Gu, Miss Lin, look over here." They did not dare to address him by his full name, but they still wanted to capture the couple in photos. In the past, Gu Jingze's guards could have actually chased these people away. That was why not one photo ever leaked out throughout all those years. But now that everything was made public, they did not care so much anymore and just let the people take pictures. Lin Che pretended not to hear as she tugged Gu Jingze and left at top speed. The reporters were disappointed, but at least they managed to capture the two together and they were satisfied. They crafted a huge report, saying that Gu Jingze lived up to his name. His security was too strict. They took pictures of the nearest security guards, showing more than 30 of them. They were strict and assertive. The reporters had no way of getting close. Lin Che read the report and was helpless. Lin Che returned home and received a call from Yu Minmin. She had yet to settle down with Gu Jingze. While Yu Minmin spoke happily, Shui Yong has been nominated Oscar's Best Supporting Actor for his role in the new movie. Lin Che was stunned at first, then she replied happily, "Really?" "Of course. We received the papers. But isn't the movie not released yet?" The movie was submitted the moment the editing was completed. Shui Yong had a change of luck because of the scar this time. It has now become his advantage. "That's great. When do the selections begin?" "Next week." Lin Che was happy that Shui Yong was progressing. He seemed to be getting closer to his goal. Yu Minmin said, "The domestic trade union will be organizing a banquet for him in a few days. They have invited many famous figures. You have to go too." Lin Che asked exasperatedly, "What does this have to do with the domestic trade union?" Apart from having some nominations for Best Foreign Film, the last nomination for Best Supporting Actor has not happened for the last 30 years in C Nation, let alone winning the award. Thus, now that our Shui Yong is receiving a lot of attention and the American drama is concluding soon, they want to hold a banquet to celebrate his return. Alright, these people simply love to have these formal events. Lin Che agreed to it and told Gu Jingze after the call ended. Gu Jingze replied, "It is a cause for celebration. When is the banquet?" "In a few days." Lin Che raised a brow. "Why, do you want to go?" Gu Jingze raised his brow too. Of course, Lin Che was just saying it casually. He would never go to such a boring place. "Alright, I'm just joking. Go take a rest. Aren't you coming with me?" Gu Jingze grabbed her hand and ushered her in. Lin Che blushed and quickly checked to see if Gu Xiuan was loitering around and watching them. Seeing that Gu Xiuan seemed to have gone out with the attendants, Lin Che then hesitantly entered the room with Gu Jingze. Many people attended the welcome banquet because they were invited by the trade union. Nobody dared to offend the trade union. Although it wouldn't be a big deal, it would still be rather troublesome. The domestic trade union hoped that everyone could come to show their support for this national movie and crew. But in reality, other artists weren't truly happy for Shui Yong. Ultimately, him getting the award or not had nothing to do with them at all. Especially for those who were competing with Lin Che in her studio. Seeing how Lin Che's artists worked so hard, they were originally sour. Yet, they still had to put on a facade and turn up. But if they really did not turn up, it would make them appear petty. Thus, many people seemed to behave as if they had no interest in the Oscars. The people from Glorious Star also had to come. They were absolutely coerced by the trade union into coming, as the trade union called them and asked, "I heard that your company is on bad terms with Lin Che's studio." Liang Shan quickly replied, "Not at all, not at all. We are on very good terms. Really, we are all in the same industry and should help each other. Otherwise, word could get out and make us look shady and bad. This is a good chance for all of you to gather." Liang Shan's face was already black. They were the ones who stirred up Gu Jingze and Lin Che's relationship. Who knew that they would be shooting themselves in the foot? Now, they tried their best to hide and not show their faces. They did not expect the trade union to call them out like this. If they did not go, it would seem as if something shady was going on internally. How could they refuse the invitation? There was no choice. They had to bring a few artists along. When they arrived, they saw many people who also were not happy. Who would have thought? That lad, Shui Yong, had a lot of black marks in the past and he could still get into the Oscars. I heard that his face was disfigured. It's probably because of that face that he had to go to Hollywood. He'd have no way to fool anyone in C Nation. Chapter 1382. Here comes Gu Jingze in person. When Liang Shan heard of the news, he brought Wu Yufei to the back to watch and said, "That Shui Yong. I've heard that he was a rascal, and was taken in as a disciple by Lin Che to enter the industry. Gosh, Lin Che's side is really messy, having all sorts of people." Wu Yufei replied, "Can't he be popular?" Liang Shan squinted at their own Wu Yufei. This child was really one of a kind, opposing him every day and smashing his own field in front of others. Wu Yufei could not be bothered with him. He went back to doing his own stuff. He seriously couldn't even admit that he wasn't capable. He was just harping about Lin Che's side every day, nitpicking on everything and then not following others and grooming newcomers. The truth was, he was just trying to follow and groom people. However, Lin Che's side was responsible for their artists to the very end while Glorious Star would kick those who could not make it to one side. Just take a look at Shui Yong and you would know. Despite the scar on his face, Lin Che still thought of another way for him to go. If it was Glorious Star, they would have not been bothered with him long ago. Just then, Lin Che arrived. The union representative went to receive Mrs. Gu. "Oh, Mrs. Gu is here." The union had initially disliked a person who has a lot of news coverage like Lin Che. They felt that it brought a bad name to the acting community. An artist should be focusing on acting instead of constantly being on the news. However, things were different now that Lin Che was Mrs. Gu. "Mrs. Gu, the artist that your studio groomed is really not bad. I've seen it this time. The movie is not bad. We have a high chance of winning an award. Oh, this Shui Yong is really the pride of our C Nation. Our union has specially prepared a medal for him." Lin Che looked elegant and sophisticated in a black dress. This was a formal event. It was no ordinary banquet but one organized by the union. Thus, her attire was more prim and proper, nothing too special. However, not sure if it was because her status was now as Mrs. Gu, people thought she looked exceptionally sophisticated. Lin Che spoke with the union members for a while and she saw that right in front of her, Liang Shan was trying to avoid her and had turned to talk to Wu Yufei. But Wu Yufei was not entertaining him. Just as he turned around, Wu Yufei got up to leave. Liang Shan went red. He had to face Lin Che. Now that they had eye contact, he had to say hi. Liang Shan asked, "How do you do, Mrs. Gu? It's a rare opportunity to see you. You're so busy and you're still here to attend the banquet. You're really supportive of the union's work. How can that be? Brother Liang Shan is the capable one, the best in the world of agents. And you're still here to attend the welcome banquet of our Shui Yong. Oh yes, I've heard that you're on good terms with the paparazzi. Will they be here this time? Tell them I said hi. I haven't seen them bouncing around for some time. I kind of miss them." Lin Che knew that all those issues were created by Glorious Star. Liang Shan's face looked quite bad but he had no words to retaliate. It was a slap to his face and it felt like he was waiting for another. Lin Che smiled and walked past him. Just then, he saw Wu Yufei staring at him and scoffed before going in. Wu Yufei had wanted to pretend that she did not care. However, having competed with Lin Che for so long, Lin Che was already that popular, and she was still stuck at where she was. Even so, she might not even be able to hold on to her current position. She had always been telling others that she was very tired and did not wish to continue acting. She wanted to return when she had earned enough and that fame was not important. She came for the money, and when she had earned enough, she would marry someone and settle down. All these were said on purpose. She knew that she would lose some popularity after hitting a peak. It was unavoidable. It seemed like she was given a vaccination. It did not matter if she had lost some popularity. The truth was, which star would not mind? If he was not famous at all, it might be nothing. But having been famous once, he would not want to lose fame having experienced it, even for just a day. It was no wonder that so many celebrities would fall into depression. It was so easy to have ups and downs. Shui Yong returned. He rushed over as soon as he got off the plane. Having gone through the tests of Hollywood, he became tanned. Everyone saw that his scar was still obvious, but it should be easily concealable with some powder. However, Hollywood would not use powder to make it less obvious. The reporters rushed over like bees when Shui Yong arrived. The big star of the country was indeed different. Even his smile had some flair. He smiled at the media, not in a hurry to be interviewed, and went in to look for Lin Che. "Sister Che, I'm back." He pulled Lin Che along in front of everyone. Their close relationship left others envious. Most people would forget about their talent scout when they found fame. But Shui Yong was obviously different. Lin Che said, "All right, go for your interviews." Shui Yong brought Lin Che along for the interview. The reporter looked at Lin Che and asked, "Is President Ji Yu here today, Mrs. Ji Yu?" Lin Che replied, "The main character today is here." Shui Yong was not worried that she would steal the limelight. He smiled and said to the reporter, "It's been a long time. Thank you everyone for being here today." "Shui Yong, are you confident about the award this time? With the scar on your face, were there any hardships? Now that you're said to have gone international, do you have any thoughts on that?" Shui Yong said, "I'm happy enough to be nominated. It'll be great if I could win the award, but if not, I'll still be content." "So did you know about Lin Che and Mr. Ji Yu long ago?" "Yes, I knew it long ago." Shui Yong smiled. "They've been very loving, we all know. Why did it become about her again?" Upon hearing that, the reporter got excited. "How long? Who's the one in charge at home? Were there arguments at home?" Shui Yong smiled and replied, "Arguments are all the same as it is for most couples. However, it's always Mr. Ji Yu who admits defeat. Sister Che should be the one who listens at home because Mr. Ji Yu is still quite capable. He can help Sister Che to sort things out. Sister Che is usually muddle-headed. She can't do anything without Mr. Ji Yu." "Wow, how sweet." The reporters were saying. It really felt like the two of them were very much in love. At the back came a voice of disharmony. Hearing Shui Yang's words, a show of being in love. The sentence was not completed. A show of being in love, it'll die soon. Everyone knew what it meant. Looking at one another, everyone felt it made some sense. There were plenty of shows of being in love in the industry, and in the end, they ended up in a divorce. However, at this moment, someone said, "Quick, come and have a look. Looks like someone's coming." "No way, Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze is here in person." Chapter 1383 Rare chance for the two to be in sync. Indeed, Gu Jingze had arrived. The reporters had wanted to take some shots, however the security had already started to clear the path. Gu Jingze walked in immediately as the reporters got cleared out of the way. The union members felt honored and immediately went over to greet him. As Shui Yong had been around Lin Che for a longer time, he was already quite used to Gu Jingze. He could understand why these celebrities would get excited when they saw Gu Jingze. Initially, he would feel a little uncomfortable when he saw Gu Jingze. He could not believe that he would be in the same room as Gu Jingze. However, after some time, he got used to it. He felt that when Gu Jingze was with Lin Che, it was quite harmonious, different from the rumors. The celebrities looked excitedly at Gu Jingze. It was only when they saw Lin Che walking that they realized they had no reason to get excited. Gu Jingze was Lin Che's. If it was in the past, they could feel amazed for a long time if they saw Gu Jingze. They could even brag about it in the showbiz industry, that they have seen the real face of Gu Jingze. However, now that they have seen the famous Gu Jingze, he was already Lin Che's. Lin Che brought Shui Yong along to go over. Gu Jingze looked at Shui Yong. I heard you're nominated for the Oscars. Congratulations. Shui Yong was embarrassed. This title could be loud elsewhere, but it was nothing for Gu Jingze. He lowered his head and said, thank you. It's just a supporting role and it's just a nomination. I might disappoint everyone in the end. You won't. You're already the pride of C Nation. Gu Jingze stretched his hand out. Shui Yong shook his hand respectfully. Lin Che looked up at Gu Jingze. Why are you doing here all of a sudden? Gu Jingze hugged her shoulder. Let's go. We'll talk inside. A group of people watched Gu Jingze hugging onto Lin Che as they walked in. Initially, people were curious about Gu Jingze and Lin Che's relationship. They wondered if they were really that loving as outsiders said they were. They suspected that the two of them had an ulterior motive for being together. However, now that the two of them were standing right before them, they could not refuse to believe that these two were truly husband and wife. This was not something that could be cooked up. Gu Jingze had a motive for being there. That was to let all to see, those who questioned, those who suspected, to understand what they saw. He was standing by Lin Che's side in reality. In those few days, many had nothing better to do and posted some speculations online. It was about having a tough life when marrying into a wealthy family and that Lin Che was putting on a false smile and pretending to be in bliss. Not that he did not know. Thus, he decided to let people see for themselves that Lin Che was not forcing herself to smile. Now that Gu Jingze had actually arrived, everyone finally dispersed after they had their fill of the commotion. But there were some who wanted to go in and say hello to Gu Jingze up close. After all, chances of getting close to Gu Jingze were hard to come by. Only Lin Che and those who were familiar with her could go in right away without the obstruction of the security. However, if others had wanted to go over, they would be stopped by the security and not allowed to move an inch closer. These security guards did not say a word. They just stood there with a cold expression on their faces regardless of who spoke or what was said. If you said, Lin Che knows me, let me go over to say hi. The guards' faces stayed the same. If you said, I played the role of this and that, the guards' faces would still be cold. Everyone could only leave in disappointment. Soon, Yu Minmin arrived and she immediately walked over. The guards knew who she was and respectfully lowered their heads for a salute and let her in. Yu Minmin was Madam President, and that was fine. However, Mu Firen had arrived and there was the respectful salute as well, before letting her in. It looked like the guards knew all these people. Everyone could only look on with disgruntlement. They had no choice and watched those few sit around Gu Jingze's side. Others who could not even go an inch closer were very jealous. Yu Minmin congratulated Shui Yong and said, I'll be there at the awards. Lin Che's schedule doesn't allow for it then, so I think she won't be going over. Lin Che replied, I'll watch it from home. Shui Yong hurriedly answered, it's not a big deal. I'll be more stressed if you guys are like this. Yu Minmin said, don't be stressed. We're just supporting our own. It's already an achievement for you to be nominated. We're content. Moreover, when that time comes, you're the pride of C Nation. Even if we don't go, the local media and showbiz industry will have many representatives over there. You can start being mentally prepared now. Shui Yong took in a deep breath and honestly started to feel some pressure. Yu Minmin looked at his cheeks. Alright, as I said, this is your destiny. One scar won't hinder your path. Now that you're on your way, it'll be better in the future. Shui Yong looked at the few of them. Thank you for not giving up on me. It's because of everyone's support that I have today. Don't mention it. It's the fruit of your labor. From not knowing how to act to the big road of acting now. This is all on your own efforts. We can't be the ones to replace you in acting right. Shui Yong knew that everyone was comforting him. However, he was very thankful for this team and these friends. Lin Che sighed and looked at him, deep in thoughts. Halfway when leaving with Gu Jingze, a woman was seen heading unsteadily towards them. Lin Che was a little surprised and smelt a whiff of alcohol already coming towards them. Fortunately, the security guards were still around and it only took a moment to stop the person. Looking closer, that person was Wu Yufei. She did not know how much Wu Yufei drank, but she seemed to be swaying. She was mumbling unclearly, ah, Lin Che ha ha ha. How are you? You're good. Why do I see you again? It's really. Gu Jingze frowned. Lin Che waved and said, it's okay. An artist I know. It'll be fine after getting someone to take her away. Liang Shan watched from somewhere not far away and got a fright. He heard Lin Che's commands and hurried over. Apologies. I'm sorry, I'll take her away immediately. Liang Shan had looked at Gu Jingze from far and at his many bodyguards, not daring to go over. Now, right before Gu Jingze, he felt tremendously stressed. He knew he had offended Lin Che numerous times and naturally, did not dare look at Gu Jingze at all. He did now know how he had been so bold previously, to go against Lin Che. Lin Che looked and nodded her head. Brother Liang Shan, she's from your company, so she's in your hands. The words Brother Liang made him break into a cold sweat. Chapter 1384 Buying a row at once. If he had not seen Gu Jingze in person previously, he might just have that ounce of courage to provoke Lin Che. Now that the two of them were right in front of them, there was an obvious difference. Liang Shan pulled her and left quickly. Though dragging a person, he was running faster than a rabbit. Liang Shan pulled her to the back. Seeing her like that and worrying about reporters discovering, he quickly took some water and poured it over her. Wake up, take a good look at yourself. What are you trying to do, coming to the union to kick a fuss? Are you tired of living? Wu Yufei wiped off the water on her face and opened her eyes to see Liang Shan. Immediately, she shouted, "You dare to splash water at me? Don't you know how many fans I have and you dare splash water at me? This face brings you money. Can you afford to destroy me?" Liang Shan did not think that this Wu Yufei would have the audacity to speak in that tone with him. However, he tolerated it. Seeing how drunk she was, he tolerated it. In addition, it was a fact that her face brought in the money. He would not argue with the money tree. After getting someone to send her home, Liang Shan went back to rest. The next day, Wu Yufei was called to go to the company upon waking up. Liang Shan immediately reprimanded her. "You have to be aware of your image. How could you let it happen? To think you got drunk. Look how many reporters were outside. You might become a joke if they got you running over to Gu Jingze." Wu Yufei said indifferently, "They didn't get anything right." "Ha, didn't get anything. So does that mean you can drink? What if they got you on camera? When that happens, then we'll talk about it. Also, what are you afraid of? It'll just light up some gossip if they have it. Even if it's not in the headlines, it can gain some attention and exposure. Which artist is not popular without some black spots? The more gossip one celebrity has, the more fame he gets." Wu Yufei had already stopped talking and immediately got up to leave. Liang Shan was left angered, slamming the table. This Wu Yufei was getting out of hand. Wu Yufei felt lousy and she still had to make an announcement. A few people followed when she arrived at the airport. After a night of being drunk, she felt exhausted with a long road ahead. Her assistant pulled up in a trolley cart and she got on it immediately. "I can't take it anymore. I'll sit for a bit." The assistant felt it was a little strange. There were people watching but he could not reject it. Wu Yufei sat on the trolley cart and moved ahead. She got on and off the plane. As her flight was delayed, she arrived 2 hours later. The assistant was like a cat on hot bricks. Wu Yufei was sleeping at a spot. The assistant was making calls by the side. Wu Yufei said, "All right, stop making a din. It's late anyway, let me sleep." When the person had arrived, they were already 3 hours late. A few of the older artists hummed, "Seriously, young people these days are really something. In the past, we had to arrive 2 hours earlier, in case of any delays." Wu Yufei pretended not to hear and went in. The assistant smiled an embarrassed smile before following. "Sister Yufei, what would you like to drink?" "Sister Yufei, let's make you something to eat." A few of the assistants went back and forth. Wu Yufei could not be bothered to head out and hear those seniors reprimanding. She waited inside and only went out for a round after rehearsals were about to end. Then she returned to play games and enjoy the air conditioning. The television station mentioned that these artists were too much. Just appearing for a few minutes earned them a few $100,000. It was such easy money. The television station immediately informed the agency that their artist was playing the high card. They thought it would be better to have someone less of a big shot the next time. Liang Shan felt restless beyond words and paced back and forth. He could not help but call Wu Yufei to reprimand her. "Wu Yufei, what are you doing? You even dare to offend the TV station. Aren't you afraid of getting the axe?" Wu Yufei replied lazily, "Don't I have you guys? Just help me with the public relations and it'll be fine." She hung up after saying her piece. Liang Shang was bewildered. Where was the obedient and understanding Wu Yufei of the past? Where has she gone and why was she more and more difficult to manage? Over at this side, Lin Che headed out with Gu Jingze early in the morning. Gu Jingze had been away for very long and had said he would accompany her to shop when he returned. Lin Che was happy of course. She headed out with him after dressing up. Gu Jingze was in charge of driving and she sat beside him. The two were in a less conspicuous car, a Benz. It was common to see luxury cars on the roads these days and their Benz was much less conspicuous than their other cars. Especially when one was able to buy a Benz at 200,000 yuan or so, it was no longer as esteemed. Though theirs was of the millions range, not everyone could tell. Everyone only recognized the Benz sign. Most did not understand or know of the different models. Lin Che was one of those people. Though she knew the cars at home were expensive, it was just a Benz to her and she thought it should be cheaper than a Porsche. In actual fact, she did not know that many Porsches were just a few $100,000, not even as expensive as some Benz. Whenever Gu Jingze wanted to accompany Lin Che, he would get his men to follow from afar, not getting close. Though Lin Che already had many clothes bought back by the caretaker, all hung up in her closet to her convenience, in all sorts of style, she was after all, a woman. She needed to shop once in a while. As she walked and reached a store, she did not expect that this time, as soon as she entered, someone greeted her. Wow, Lin Che, Gu Jingze. Lin Che saw the storekeeper running towards them with excitement. One look and they were recognized, without an ounce of doubt. This was because they had been appearing too frequently on the news recently. Those who paid attention to celebrities, gossip would recognize. How could they not know? Hello, how do you do? Are you two shopping? Please, come in, we have new arrivals in the store. Take a look. Lin Che had wanted to walk around. With such an invite, she could not say so. She went in to have a look. However, the storekeeper looked at them as though they were animals on display and that made Lin Che feel uncomfortable. Thus, she did not really see how the clothes were and casually went one round. As for Gu Jingze, he lowered his head and looked at Lin Che, and then looked at the storekeeper who would not stop talking. He said, all right. The storekeeper looked at Gu Jingze and wondered if he was getting upset. He did not expect Gu Jingze to say, all right, wrap up this whole row for us. Send them to the Gu family. The card is here, we still have things to do, so we'll make a move first. The storekeeper looked. Wow, buying an entire row just like that. A local tycoon indeed. The storekeeper looked at Gu Jingze with surprise and joy. He quickly nodded his head, sure, rest assured. Gu Jingze held on to Lin Che and left. Chapter 1385 The Nature of Mrs. Gu. The storekeeper sent out a message on Weibo. Gu Jingze has brought Lin Che to our store and has settled my month's sales in one go. He took a picture of the entire row of clothes to insinuate that the row had been bought. There was an uproar on the internet. This Weibo immediately got the attention of the paparazzi and they soon took it to write on their own accounts. They captioned, look at how the local tycoon Gu Jingze pampers his wife. Look at how the local tycoon shops. Mrs. Gu is really very fortunate. The netizens looked in amazement and commented, most people would just say to buy and it's just a passing comment. Our president Gu is the one who really does the buying. Those who always say they're from a wealthy family or some young master from some city can go take a look at how a real local tycoon is. President Gu, do you need another helper at home? I wonder how big their closet is at home. On the outside. Lin Che was still strolling on the street with Gu Jingze. Lin Che looked up and asked, why did you buy everything? Gu Jingze said, I didn't want her to talk so much. She was holding us up. In this way, we save time, and the clothes don't look that bad. Lin Che replied, but it's too many clothes for me to wear. You can wear one a day. I like to see it. He smiled and replied. Lin Che knew that he could not be bothered to hear what the storekeeper had to say. While laughing, she pulled him along to continue strolling. Not long later, she felt a little tired and pulled him along to a cafe. There were many cafe houses these days, and they were all located in the malls. Their aim was to probably provide a seating area for people who got tired after some shopping. Pulling him in, Gu Jingze looked around and said, the coffee is badly done. Lin Che pushed him to take a seat. The coffee here was of course different from the Brazilian coffee beans that he had carefully selected. All right, nobody is here for the coffee. We're all here to take a rest before continuing on our shopping. Lin Che did not ask what he wanted and just went to get 2 cups of coffee. The people beside them seemed to recognize both of them but did not dare to confirm. Lin Che supported her chin and looked at Gu Jingze before looking at the scenery outside the window. There were a gorgeous view and a gorgeous man. She was very contented with her life. Just then, outside, someone knocked into another car while reversing. Passers-by saw that it was a Porsche that had knocked into a Benz. Wow, a Porsche knocking into a Benz. This is going to be big. Bystanders were saying as they got out of their cars to get closer and take a look at the situation. At the same time, the owner of the Porsche had already gotten down. Oh damn, who parked this crap car here? It's blocking the way. It was a small Porsche whereas the Benz was a high and mighty SUV. The bottom of the Porsche's headlights had been scratched with a dent, and its light had been smashed. On the other hand, the Benz seemed fine, only a layer of paint had come off. The owner of the Porsche was very angry. The gold chain on his neck shook with him. Hey, insurance, my car has been scratched. I don't expect him to compensate, since it's a cheap Benz. You guys come over quick. Everyone looked and said, that's a Benz, and a broken Benz. He drives a Porsche, so it's a cheap Benz to him. Just then, the mall made an announcement. Will the owner of car 4X please take note? Your car has been involved in an accident at the outdoor car park. We hope you can be there to assist in the situation. Lin Che thought it sounded familiar. She jumped up as soon as the announcement was made for the second time. No way, our car has been knocked. Gu Jingze got up slowly. Is that so? Let's go out and have a look. When the two of them headed out, they heard someone from afar said, seriously, why is the car owner not here yet? Does he want to escape? Someone besides the man said, could it be that he's intimidated by your Porsche? Ha, who wants his compensation? Seriously. Were they talking about them? Lin Che heard and thought it was strange. She walked over in a few steps. Excuse me, the car is ours. What happened? The man started yelling, hey, what are you guys doing? How did you park your car? It caused us to. Just then, he realized when he saw that the person coming over. Was it not Lin Che? The man stopped talking. Oh, Lin Che, how come it's you? The car is yours. The man then saw a man who had followed behind and was shocked. That was Gu Jingze. Lin Che looked and said, what happened? The car got knocked. Yes. Oh my, I didn't know it's your car. I'm waiting for the insurance company to get here. How would I know that you drive such a cheap car? Just then, the representative from the insurance company arrived. He recognized the man's Porsche and walked over immediately. The man went over to receive the insurance company's representative and said, gosh, I didn't think I'd meet a celebrity after knocking into a car. Look, it's Lin Che. Driving a Benz. I thought you'd be driving a more expensive car with all the money you have. Why are you still driving a Benz? From the back, the insurance company staff looked and said, all right, have a good look at what model their car is and the model of yours. Their model is not a cheap Benz, and you think all Benz are cheap. Huh, the man was a little dumbfounded. Everyone looked from the side and could not hold back their laughter. Someone said, this is an imported high-end Benz, worth about 4 million yuan all right. Lin Che did not even expect that. She quickly turned around to see Gu Jingze at the back and knew Gu Jingze's cars would not be cheap. Who would have thought? It was so expensive. She quickly replied, gosh, didn't you say you want to drive a less conspicuous car? Gu Jingze replied, it is the least conspicuous. The man went red in embarrassment. Over at this side, Lin Che noticed that people had already seen them and didn't dare to say anything. She only said, we're leaving someone to handle this. We'll make a move first. Having said that, she pulled Gu Jingze quickly into the car. Naturally, someone from far had already discovered and shouted, wow, that's Gu Jingze and Lin Che. And immediately charged over to this side. Luckily, the two of them had left earlier. However, the public had already posted about this on the internet. Someone even listed all the luxury cars that Lin Che had driven over the years. So Lin Che has been wealthy from the start. Her attributes as Mrs. Gu had been out from the start. It's just that we've never realized. Attached to the poster pictures of cars ranging from 4 million yuan to 10 million yuan, opening the eyes of the general population. Everyone was curious about the number of cars that the Gu family owned. However, nobody was able to make a clear count. They only knew that based on what Lin Che had driven out, there were already more than 10. Chapter 1386. To think that this is the place they were going. It was just that no one had noticed what car Lin Che drove in the past. It was only after going through them recently that they found out something astonishing. Over so many years, the cars that Lin Che had been driving were all not what she could afford. All of them were great cars, and every single one of them would be enough to amaze others. Yet, she had so many of them. Then, wouldn't Gu Jingze's garage be like a car show for all those amazing cars? That was so terrifying. The moment Lin Che and Gu Jingze had reached home, she received the next filming location for the show. To think that it was Dubai. Lin Che was stunned for a moment. The production team said, "This time around, we have more funds. It's all because of your great influence. Look at how many sponsors are willing to work with us. Moreover, the viewership ratings we have this month is greater than the first seasons. This time around, we've decided to head to a place of higher class, to Dubai. Get ready for it. Your child should have a passport, right?" Ji Xiuan had never traveled overseas before. Lin Che quickly sent someone to apply for a passport for Ji Xiuan. As the time was tight, they took the back door to get this done and managed to get the passport on the day itself. Although they were only going to Dubai, Lin Che still feel a little gloomy. The impression she got from that place wasn't very good. However, the other mothers were all very excited. They felt that the production team was finally going to a place with a higher class. Gu Jingze looked at how Lin Che was wearing a distressed expression in the room. He walked over and asked, "What's the matter? Are you very unhappy?" Lin Che said, "I just don't like to go to Dubai." "Why not get the production team to change to another location?" Gu Jingze asked. Lin Che shook her head. "Forget it. The production team had probably received sponsorship from there to select this location. If I say that I don't want to go, it might affect the entire program's sponsorship." Although she was a big shot, she never liked to trouble other people. She had been used to acting like this. Gu Jingze thought seriously about this before pressing her down to take a seat. He said, "When you arrive, I'll go over as well." Lin Che looked up. "You're going too, is that all right?" Gu Jingze nodded. "There are matters that haven't been completely dealt with yet. Since you don't feel at ease, then I can go over and accompany you." Lin Che leaned on his shoulder and nodded silently. Everyone quickly started to pack up after hearing that they were heading to Dubai. The production team had long gotten ready and arrived at the meetup location. Everyone also told them about their requirements for their Dubai trip in advance. First of all, they told the mothers to not go out individually in case they got lost overseas. All of them were celebrities, not ordinary people. They would have gone overseas before. Moreover, Dubai was also a very good choice since it was a shopping heaven. Therefore, the production team was worried that they would go out for shopping. Although they were all adults and had travel experiences, if they went out by themselves and something happened, it would be the production team's responsibilities. They would need to take responsibility and provide compensation. However, the production team was really very worried. They kept on reminding them repeatedly, but the few mothers still said excitedly that they were going to go shopping. "I've been wanting to buy that new item from Chanel. I want to buy that small bag from Chloe that was recently released. Someone had taken a street fashion photograph with it a few days ago, and I feel that it really matches a lot of different styles." The few mothers discussed enthusiastically amongst themselves, but Cheng Wanwan let out a snort and asked, "What's so good about street shots? Some female celebrities just like to use the pretext of taking street fashion photography, but actually carefully selected locations and postures at the airport to take the photographs and then edit them after going back. They make themselves look good with the editing no matter what they wore. This is really we don't care to do something like this." As a celebrity that participated in variety shows, Cheng Wanwan made use of humor to attract audience's attention. She was unlike actors and actresses like Lin Che, who would pay more attention to their appearances. It was true that some actors or actresses would take more consideration into fashion. Furthermore, street fashion photography was also very popular now. The airport had become a runway stage for celebrities, a popular place for street fashion photography. Cheng Wanwan's despise had some sense to it. However, one of the other mothers had just posted a street fashion photography that created quite a lot of commotion online. Hearing Cheng Wanwan say this, she turned her head and let out a snort, and then purposely tried to split into teams. She said to Lin Che, "Sister Che's street fashion photography all looks very good. Sister Che, can you share with us some of your experiences?" Lin Che looked up, no knowing why they had suddenly brought her up. She said, "I don't have much experience. I dress very casually." Cheng Wanwan let out a greater snort. The others glared at Cheng Wanwan, then continued to butter up to Lin Che. "You're comparing with Lin Che? Does Lin Che still need to take street fashion photography? She must have a mountain of clothes at home. We saw it the other day. Your husband would buy an entire rack of clothes just like that without batting an eye. Your house is full of clothes and all of them are branded limited editions. There's no need for you to specially pick out your clothes. Every single one of them would look very fashionable." "That's right. Moreover, Sister Che has such a great figure, so she'd look good in anything. She won't even need to edit the photos. I saw it the other day. Her fan had taken the photo but did not edit it. It was so beautiful. Cheng Wanwan said, haha, you guys are really good at bootlicking. Lin Che, don't you feel guilty after listening to so much bootlooking? They're making it sound as if you're a fairy. Cheng Wanwan got up and said, it's just Dubai. I can't be bothered to go, but all of you are feeling so happy. I'd go to Dubai once a month to shop when I'm free and had gotten sick of it. You guys can stay here and continue to think of what bags and clothes you want to buy. If there's anything you're not sure of, just come and ask me. There isn't any place in Dubai that I hadn't been to before. Haha, you're saying it as if it's your house. One of the mothers couldn't help but say it in contempt. Cheng Wanwan turned and looked over as if she had been waiting for her to say this. I really just bought a house in Dubai. Do you want to come over and stay? That mother immediately shut up, pouted her lips, and sat down. Lin Che watched the entire episode, feeling amazed. She had no idea how the edited show could look so harmonious. It was really hard work for the editor. However, it was true that Cheng Wanwan had earned quite well for the past few years, as she was able to buy a house in Dubai. She had built up her reputation through this show in the past 2 years and had taken up many advertisement offers, especially those involving children. The offer they gave her was very high as well. It was possible to earn enough money to buy a few houses just by relying on her child, Da Fei. As for the other mothers, although they were also celebrities, their treatment was worse off. If they didn't have much reputation from acting, they'd just be getting remuneration from their projects, which was a lot lesser than what one could earn from advertisements. Seeing Cheng Wanwan sashay off, the others couldn't help but snort. However, they had to admit that they were really jealous of Cheng Wanwan and also hoped to increase their popularity on this show. They wanted to be like Cheng Wanwan and be able to buy houses in various parts of the world. Chapter 1387 You didn't tell us you know the prince. They got on the plane and were going to land very soon. It wasn't easy for everyone to move around with children with them. It was after they had gotten on the plane that they realized that there were a few other guests who were going to participate as well. Oh my, Lin Che, Cheng Wanwan. Everyone was also very surprised when they saw other celebrities coming over together. Wow, there are so many people this time around. That's right, the production team spent a large amount of money. Another 4 to 5 people came. However, they weren't all celebrities who had brought along children. There were younger female artists and also more senior celebrities. Lin Che saw a few of them who she had interacted with in the past. Hello everyone. We meet again. How could we have met here? The group started to greet each other, and only started to get the mission from the production team after that. This time around, everyone will be traveling together. It'll be a test of everyone's viability in Dubai. With more people, we hope that everyone can work together and help to take care of the children. Alright, our vehicle is here to pick everyone up. We'll go to the hotel for a rest first before we continue with the next activity on the itinerary. Quote. However, at this moment. Wow, there are many people outside. Are they fans who are here to welcome us? We have fans to come and meet us on this trip. Of course, C Nation has so many citizens. Which part of the world wouldn't have C Nation's citizens? Everyone was still finding it strange that there were many people outside the airport. However, when they got closer, they realized that the people who came were all dressed very formally, and didn't look like fans at all. It was also impossible for them to be C Nation citizens. It was because most of them were dressed in military uniforms. Who are they? They don't look like they're here to receive us. It should be that there is some important political figure at the airport. Everyone started making guesses again, but Lin Che was the only one who felt that things were bad when she saw those people's clothes. As expected, a man dressed in an Arabic-styled check top and a white turban appeared in the crowd. Everyone moved to two sides, making a way in the middle for the man. They also gave their salutations uniformly. Wow, who is this? One of the mothers cried out. Another also gasped. Ah, it's the first prince. The royal family's first prince. Said. Lin Che frowned as she watched Said walking over toward her. He kept his eyes on Lin Che, smiling as he raised his hand. Hey, you didn't even tell me before you came to Dubai. You're not being nice to your old friend. Everyone watched as Said turned toward Lin Che, and they looked over in surprise. Lin Che took in a deep breath before heading up and said, I'm only here for work. Hello, it's such a coincidence. Why are you here? Some of them knew English, and when they saw Lin Che speaking the language so fluently, speaking calmly as if she was chatting with an old friend, they were even more surprised. To think that Lin Che knew the first prince, who was the successor to the throne. The first prince, who had just paid a visit to Sea Nation, left a deep impression in everyone's mind. All those valuable gold lifts and other things made of gold amazed all the Sea Nation's citizens. It was so luxurious, and only this royal family, who possessed so much gold, could think of things like that. However, it seemed as if Lin Che didn't have any restrictions when speaking to him. Said, coincidence? No, I specially came to welcome you. Lin Che's brows furrowed slightly. He smiled and raised his head. How can I not know that you've come? I already knew about it from the first instant you crossed the borders. Alright, it was because he was the first prince. Lin Che said, thank you for especially gathering such a big group to come and welcome me. It's alright, friends of the royal family deserve such treatment. Come, where are you staying at? Why not just stay at the palace? No, it's fine, I brought my child with me and it's not convenient for us to go there. There are people here to take care of the child, and it'd be fine for me and my child to stay at the hotel here. When he heard that, he lowered his head and looked at the child. Gu Xiuan looked up at him curiously. He smiled, aren't there even more people at my place who can take care of the child? Lin Che said, of course, there are more people at the palace, but we've signed a contract, and have to continue with the filming at night. Alright, I'm really working now and hope that you won't disturb me. We can meet up again after I'm done with my work. Said looked at the people behind. Lin Che knew that he wouldn't dare to do anything to force her when they were in front of so many people. Said raised his brows. Alright, I'm just showing my willingness by coming to pick you up. Carry on with your work then. We can meet up again later on. Said could only bid Lin Che goodbye for now. He left, together with the big group of the royal family's military. People continued to make way for him, letting Said walk ahead while they follow behind him orderly. According to a designated order, they left the airport in rows. The atmosphere in the airport became less tensed, and Lin Che also heaved a sigh of relief. The staff members from the production team also relaxed. They were still wondering what they had just seen, feeling as if they had just become a part of a news broadcast. Although they also produced shows and had seen more things than ordinary people, they had never participated in anything related to politics. Someone immediately said, wow, Lin Che, you know people from the royal family. Lin Che turned and said simply, I only know him, but hadn't interacted much with him. I'm sorry for holding everyone up. Let's go. She didn't expect Said to still have tricks waiting for her outside. Miss Lin, the first prince has sent a car to pick the two of you up and to send you to the hotel. Please accept our first prince's kind intention. It wouldn't be nice to refuse for a second time. Although Lin Che was unwilling, she still nodded in agreement. The vehicle prepared by the production team had been sponsored, but they naturally wouldn't dare to let the first prince's car leave empty. They immediately gave up on the sponsored vehicle and told Lin Che to take the Bentley sent by the first prince. Lin Che took the Bentley to the hotel while the others took the sponsored vehicle that was worth several $100,000 to the hotel. Everyone looked at the Bentley and were still saying, oh my, to think that Lin Che's connections are so wide to be even knowing the first prince. That's not strange. Lin Che is Mrs. Gu, and she probably knew him when she went around with Gu Jingze. This is too scary, to think that I have met the military and a real prince. Look, the treatment is just different. They are taking a Bentley while we're taking some lousy ordinary car. After everyone arrived at the hotel and entered, they saw that Cheng Wanwan had come over as well. They smiled and asked, didn't you say you have a house here? Why aren't you going home? Cheng Wanwan turned and glared at the person who had spoken. Another person sneered, who was the one who said that we only know how to bootlick? At least we don't like to boast. Lin Che is really amazing. Look at her, she didn't even say anything even though she knows the prince her, unlike some people who boast so much just because she has a house here. Chapter 1388 Why are the roads sealed? Cheng Wanwan had headed in and entered the lift as if she hadn't heard anything the others were saying. The weather in Dubai was very hot. The next day, filming continued. By the time they returned to the hotel, Gu Xiuan was so tired that she had fallen asleep. After a crazy day, even Lin Che was feeling tired. That night, a few mothers came running to her happily. Lin Che, do you want to go out to go shopping? The children are asleep, we can just get someone to look after them. Lin Che took a look and said, alright, let's go together. I'll get someone to help me take care of Gu Xiuan as well. Although they were told not to bring people with them to attend the show, everyone would still come with the people they worked with. Lin Che brought more people with her, both in the dark and in the open. Putting other people aside, Dongzi had always stayed by her side. Right now, she would be able to leave in peace with Dongzi staying behind to take care of the child. The group headed out. They passed by Cheng Wanwan's room, but no one called her. They headed straight for the mall and started a shopping spree. Women's ability to shop was predictable. They bought a lot, charged a lot of money to their credit cards, and their hands were all filled. After shopping for a while, they planned on heading to another mall to continue. As Lin Che's English was good, she was treated as a translator and had been helping to ask for directions. When they had just arrived outside the mall, Lin Che saw a car that stopped by the roadside. She unknowingly stopped in her footsteps, and then saw someone getting off the car. Who could it be other than Gu Jingze? He had said that he would come and meet up with her, but he had to settle the matters on the other side and thus, he would arrive later. Not only was he here, but he had also managed to find Lin Che without any problems. Lin Che smiled. When she saw Gu Jingze, she felt that everything was fine and she could be at ease now. She wanted to head over quickly but recalled that she had other companions with her. The other mothers saw Gu Jingze and recognized him. They were all surprised, and all threw a yearning glance at his good looks. After feeling envious for a moment, they quickly said to Lin Che, "Go on, go on. He's here, so we won't be holding you up. There's no need to care about us. We'll be able to go back even if we don't know English." Lin Che smiled apologetically, and her face flushed up a little when she saw their teasing glances. She then hurried toward Gu Jingze. Under everyone's envious gazes, Lin Che got in Gu Jingze's car. Gu Jingze took her hand and said, "Come on, I'll bring you back first. Xiuan has fallen asleep. I got someone to help to look after her." "I know, I just came from there." Lin Che said, "There are 2 more days of filming. What about you? What do you need to take care of here? I'll go settle them after you're gone." The 2 of them returned to the hotel. The other staff members could be easily seen, and when they saw that Gu Jingze had come, all of them quickly backed off to the side. However, they continued to cast curious gazes on the 2 of them. The next day, Lin Che continued with the filming. Gu Jingze went off to settle his matters. However, when the shooting was over that night, a car stopped by the door. Lin Che walked over and saw that the man who had alighted was someone she knew. It was that butler from the palace. The staff members were still complaining, "What car is this? How can they come in just like that?" Someone quickly whispered, "It belongs to the royal family. They are permitted to park anywhere." The staff member saw that it was a Ferrari. He quickly shut up but saw that Lin Che had walked over. "Miss Lin, the first prince is inviting you to attend a dinner banquet at the palace." Everyone felt envious when they heard this. Lin Che was being invited to attend a banquet at the palace. How classy. However, Lin Che frowned and said, "I've already said that I'm here for work. I'll pass on the banquet." "Mr. Gu is also there. Are you really not going?" "I'm placing my work first, so I won't be going," Lin Che insisted. The butler let out a snort. "All right then, the invitation is late and the first prince said that you must go. If we weren't successful in the invite, we might need to use some other method." Lin Che then saw that there were people at the back wielding guns and gradually getting closer. Lin Che's eyes moved, and she could only say, "All right. I'll get someone to send the child back and then I'll leave with you." "All right, please go ahead." The butler smiled warmly and put up an inviting gesture. Lin Che could only get someone to bring the child back first. Under everyone's surprised gazes, she got in the royal family's car. Lin Che is so amazing to be attending a banquet at the palace. Moreover, the royal family had sent people to personally pick her up. She only agreed to go after being urged for a few times. What an imposing disposition. Look at her. That's what someone from a rich and influential family is really like. She can throw her weight about even in front of the royal family, yet she didn't even act haughtily in the circle. This is what a big shot really is like. Lin Che watched anxiously as the car entered the royal palace. Seth had been waiting for her for very long. After Lin Che alighted, she immediately asked, "Where is the banquet?" Seth shrugged. "If you wish, I can have our engagement party held tomorrow." Haha, Lin Che couldn't help but say in contempt, "What do you fancy about me? I've already said that I'm married and have 2 children. It's impossible for there to be anything between us." Seth squinted his eyes and looked at her. "There hasn't been anything I want that I couldn't get. Gu Jingze isn't the same as who he was in the past. Do you think that he still has the capability to fight with me?" Lin Che let out a cold snort. "I don't wish to repeat on the same problem. What do you want now?" To fight for me, to force me, do you think that you'll be able to get me just from forcing me? No, of course not. But after Gu Jingze dies, I'll use even more time to slowly win your heart. Lin Che's eye twitched. Said snapped his fingers. Bring Miss Lin to rest. There'll be a good show over these 2 days, and you can take a good look. Wait until I become this country's owner. Then, you'll become this country's queen. I don't believe that you can still reject me then. Lin Che felt increasingly uneasy. What did this guy want? Was he crazy? It hadn't been long after Lin Che left when everyone saw that the road back to the hotel had been sealed. What happened at the front? I don't know. All the roads leading to the palace have been sealed. It could be that something had happened there. It can't be Lin Che had just gone to the palace. This isn't something that ordinary people would be able to understand. Everyone could only see that there were many people pressing on their horns, asking what was happening. However, at this moment, a group of people dressed in military uniforms and fully equipped headed out, one after another. There were also many other military soldiers following behind them, passing by with a solemn expression. They even seemed to have seen armored vehicles driving past in the late night. It was only now that everyone realized that something might have happened. God, what are we to do? Are we going to continue filming the show or are we going back to our country? It'd be bad if the airport gets locked down and we can't go back. It's a pity that Lin Che isn't around. Since she knows the royal family, she'd definitely have news of what was going on. Chapter 1389 Just Let Me Leave. No one knew that Lin Che, who was in the palace, could even save herself. She leaned against the wall and looked outside as the sky gradually turned dark. However, the lights in the palace seemed to become increasingly brighter. When a servant sent her food, Lin Che looked up and asked, "Are the people walking around outside the military?" When the servant heard that, she immediately turned her face. How did you know? No, I mean, nothing is happening outside." Lin Che looked outside. How can I not hear that there are soldiers outside? The sound of the boots is very loud, and it seemed that it's very lively outside. Did something happen? Haha, it was really lively tonight. The servant quickly put down the food. Have some food, the first prince will come and visit you in a while. I'm not eating, take it away. Lin Che wore a cold expression and said. That can't do, you must eat some, quickly have some food, otherwise, the first prince will get angry. Lin Che looked at the food on the table, got up, and walked over. The meal was very sumptuous, but Lin Che had no appetite at all. She pushed all the food onto the floor. Clink clank, the servant was given a fight. Miss Lin, you. Lin Che looked at her coldly. Why, I don't like it. You can scram out as well. I feel annoyed just looking at you. The servant looked at her, feeling aggrieved and angry, but couldn't do anything. Lin Che was someone that the first prince had taken a liking to. Her eyes were filled with emotions, but after a while, she turned and quickly left. The moment she turned, she saw the first prince. First prince, the servant quickly lowered her head and retreated to the side. Said waved his hand. Although he was at home, he wasn't dressed casually. It seemed that he had just come back from outside. After throwing a glance at the rubbish on the floor, he looked at Lin Che and said, Why? Is the food not to your liking? I especially got AC Nation's chef to prepare it. Lin Che looked up. The place isn't right. This place's climate doesn't agree with me. It has nothing to do with who made the food. Hee. He sat down and held onto the backrest. Then what do you want? Me, I'm not planning to do anything. If I'm unhappy, I'll throw a tantrum. Women from our C nation aren't like the women here, who would only bear with things, giving in to men. We have bad tempers, so you'll need to get used to it. Said let out a snort. You've got it wrong. I took a liking to you because I like your temper. Lin Che looked at him. You just find this refreshing for now. You won't be able to put up with this for long. No, I am especially forgiving toward you. He turned and instructed the servant. No matter what Miss Lin wants, just give it to her, and let her throw her tantrums. I won't forgive anyone who makes her unhappy. Yes. You. Lin Che looked at Said, who chuckled and turned to leave. Lin Che leaned there, feeling very stuffy inside. She thought about it and then when the servant came over, she threw her temper and said, All of you scram. I don't want to see anyone. With Saeed's orders, none of them dared to object and quickly left. No one replied, and it made Lin Che felt listless instead. She got up and went out for a walk. She saw that it was really chaotic outside, but she had no idea what they were doing. Saeed's two consorts were chatting as they walked over toward her direction. Dressed lavishly, they didn't seem to be affected by the mess outside. Lin Che gave it some thought and then walked over. She brushed against one of the woman's shoulder. Then, she tugged her scarf down from her shoulder to the floor, stepping on it. The shoe print she left was very obvious. Lin Che said arrogantly, "I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose, but this should be nothing. I'll get said to buy you a truck of it next time." A hint of fury flashed on the woman's face, and Lin Che asked, "Oh, don't you know? Said that after he becomes king, everything here will be mine. I'm the first among equals, and I don't like you guys. So when the time comes, all of you will be chased out of the palace by me." When the two consorts heard that, their gazes turned even grimmer. "That's impossible. Said won't treat us like that. We've given birth to his children before." Lin Che let out a snort. She had met too many B*TCHES, and thus it was easy for her to play the role of one. "Then you guys really don't understand women. They will do anything to get into the good books of a woman. If I tell him not to keep you guys, then he won't. He had said just now that he won't be angry no matter what I do. Has he said something like this to you before?" The two consorts exchanged a glance in disbelief. "How would it be possible for a woman like you to enter the palace?" "I have. Said was the one who let me come." No, you aren't even a woman. How can a woman be like this?" "But I can be like this." Lin Che threw a glance at them arrogantly. The two women were very shocked. You are a devil. You've bewitched Saeed's heart. Hey, so what if I am one?" After saying that, Lin Che said to the servants, "You guys listen up. No one is allowed to tell the first prince about this matter. The first prince said that if I'm unhappy, all of you will die. Do you hear that?" The servants shuddered. They looked at the consorts, not daring to offend Lin Che. Lin Che let out a snort, brushed past the two consorts, and walked over. The consorts were given a bad shock and they said to each other, "What should we do? Is this still a woman? How can she be like this?" Lin Che turned back and wore a sharp smile. She soon saw that the two consorts had returned to their rooms and she went back as well. It was after very long that they said to servants, "Which rooms are the consorts at?" The servants quickly told her. A short moment later, Lin Che found one of the consorts. After entering, she immediately said, "You saw it. If I'm here, you guys won't have a peaceful life." The consort looked at her worriedly. "What on earth do you want? We can't leave said, or else we will die. We are consorts. If we leave him, we can't get married again. We'll be exiled." Lin Che said, "You can help me to leave this place. To be honest, I have children as well, but Seth is insistent on marrying me. I also miss my children." The consort looked at her. "If Seth finds out, I'll die." "Yes, but if I stay, you'll be exiled. It won't be much different from dying, or I can make it more unbearable than death for you." Lin Che's gaze was so evil that the consort's heart felt cold. A moment later, she seemed to have finally made up her mind. "All right, I'll help you to leave this place." Lin Che finally smiled. 1 hour later, the consort opened up a passageway. "This leads to outside. It's an escape passageway, especially for the palace's use. However, it's been very long before it had been used. Moreover, there are people keeping watch outside. This is the only way I can help. The rest would be up to you." Lin Che said, "Thank you. You've done the correct thing. I'll be leaving." Chapter 1390 Offended the Great Prince. She walked into the passage and ran without turning back. In the passage, there was indeed no one else around. She was not afraid of the consort lying to her, as she absolutely intended to leave this place. Furthermore, she definitely believed that she would not be captured by said. Otherwise, it would also be difficult for her if it was said that she gave up. Thus, it was either truly an escape route for her or it was a death trap. Said was so perverted. What if he really destroyed everything he couldn't have? Lin Che wondered if she was in hot water. Thus, she might as well take the leap of faith and see what kind of path the consort gave her. Sure enough, as she walked along the passage, she saw that it led to the outside. It looked like the consort was still very honest. It was probably because it was too chauvinistic here, and women usually didn't have a say in making decisions. Thus, she was not that scary. She was still very pure. When she was out, she saw nobody around. This desolate path was a stark contrast to Dubai's prosperity. Lin Che immediately saw red lights all around. It looked like something really happened in the palace. Lin Che sighed quietly and quickened her pace. Meanwhile, at the palace, when said returned, he straight away went to look for Lin Che. However, the attendants stared blankly. None of them could say where Lin Che was. Said asked, "Where is she?" His cold eyes scanned across, scaring the attendants. Great prince. Where is she? Don't tell me that you don't know either. What did I tell you? I told you to keep an eye on her. An attendant said, Great prince, you said to let her do whatever she wanted, so we. Humph, take everyone out in this room. The attendants quickly exclaimed in fear. Great prince, we. Said stood there and stopped the last person. Before she left, tell me everything you know. Who was the last person who saw her? It's third consort. Third consort. A few minutes later. The door to third consort's room opened. The third consort, who was seated at her dressing table, immediately turned pale. Said grabbed her by the neck and threw her onto the ground. You let Lin Che get away. The woman's expression changed. She said painfully, you can't do this to me. I bore 2 children for you. Said scoffed, I can't. If I can't find Lin Che, get ready to leave the palace. Said. She collapsed on the ground as her face filled with tears. However, Said already walked out heartlessly. He did not turn back to look at her. Find her at all costs, but I don't want a single scratch on her. He was indeed getting more and more interested in this woman. And at that moment, outside, Lin Che overheard 2 people talking. I heard that the airport is already on lockdown. It seems like something has happened in the palace. The airport is on lockdown. What now? Everyone is stranded at the airport and no one is allowed to leave. Who knows how many people are stuck there? Just what happened for things to be so serious? Who knows? People are speculating if something has happened to the king. Don't tell me there is a change in who is going to be the crown prince. Haha, who knows? Doesn't the great prince's status justify his succession to the throne? However, it does not mean that the other princes don't have a chance. Lin Che's heart pumped. Did something really happen? She had to find Gu Jingze immediately. But where was he? Lin Che first got a cab and rushed back to her own hotel. But when she got to the hotel, she discovered that it was also on lockdown. She did not dare to go near. She saw an onlooker at the side and asked, May I know what has happened? I booked a reservation with this hotel. I can't stay here anymore. It seems like the great prince's men have come to put this hotel on lockdown. Don't stay there. People who go in cannot come out now. Said. It looked like Said realized that she was gone. Ah, there were Sea Nation people staying in there. Do you know where they have gone? Sea Nation people? Are you talking about that group of people? They're probably at the airport. I heard that something happened and they had to go home, but now they can't. The airport is on lockdown too. Thankfully, it looked like Said probably could not harm Gu Xiuan. But the moment there was trouble, Gu Xiuan must have already been protected by her personal guards. Once Lin Che confirmed that the program group had already left, she quietly left the vicinity of the hotel and rushed to the airport. However, Gu Xiuan was probably not at the airport either. The security guards would not be silly enough to go to a place where she would be easily found. Now, the guards took priority on Gu Xiuan's safety. They would have probably taken her to somewhere she could not be found so easily. Sure enough, Saeed's men could not find them at the hotel. They headed straight to the airport. It was chaotic at the airport. The program group was trapped there and the people were getting antsy. What's going on? Is there no sign from Sea Nation? Wouldn't they send someone to communicate with us if we can't head back? Cheng Wanwan exclaimed. This place was so messy and nobody could feel at ease here. It was as if something bad could happen at any time. The program group could only comfort her. We've already contacted the embassy, but they need time. There are so many Sea nationals here too and they can't give special treatment to you just because you're a celebrity. Cheng Wanwan felt that as a celebrity in everybody's eyes, she was used to special treatment wherever she went. But in a political event like this, who cared if you were a celebrity or not? The program group was still anxious when they saw some people approach them. Everyone saw the soldiers and thought that help had arrived. They got up happily but soon realized that the person in front said, Search for Lin Che. The soldiers heeded the order and began rummaging. Ah, what are you guys doing? Let go. These are our things. What are you doing? Is this a robbery? Everyone was screaming and shouting. Although they did not know what was going on, they overheard bits and pieces from the conversation among some of them. They said, How are we going to answer to the great prince? But Lin Che is not here. We have no choice either. Continue searching but be careful. We can't let any harm come to Miss Lin. We'd get into trouble. Everyone was even more puzzled. Gosh, the great prince sent people to search for Lin Che. What happened with Lin Che? Why are they so aggressively looking for her? Did she offend the great prince?